And this shigayon of David, take note of this refers to a passionate, erratic, and wild psalm, okay? This is a passionate, erratic, and wild psalm. And take note of what we see here from the text. It is a shigayon of David, which he sang to the Lord concerning the words of Cush, or Cush, a Benjaminite, okay? Someone from the tribe of Benjamin named Cush, but you don't find this anywhere in history, okay? Therefore, people like Spurgeon himself would actually point to the more famous Benjaminite who was also the enemy of David, which was Saul himself. Okay? So King Saul, according to Spurgeon, was Cush, and David himself was using the name Cush. According to some Hebrew scholars, they were simply using the word Cush so that David can hide the identity of the king, because during this time, David cannot yet touch the Lord's anointed. And that is somewhat a good picture, although I have my reservations for that. We can still name him Cush for the meantime, okay? Although I have in my heart something just like this. We are not told whether it was Cush. We are not told whether it was Saul or someone else. We all know it was Cush, a Benjaminite. And he wanted to pull David down, okay? So historically, this was agreed upon by most Hebrew scholars that this was Saul and Saul's men pulling down David so that David will have a bad name. The first motion that we have, number one, let's move forward, okay? Our movement is forward. Take note that the Psalms that we are talking here is a psalm that drove David forward. And where was he driven? Okay, where was he driven? Look at the first two verses. Okay, O Lord my God, in you do I take refuge. By these very lines alone, we can see that this is a psalm of desperation. Okay, David was driven to no one else. He was driven to God himself. Okay? And this is something that you and I need to understand. David was driven on his desperate moment. Okay? If we read the first two verses, it reads this way: O Lord my God, in you do I take refuge. Save me from all my pursuers and deliver me, lest like a lion. Take note of the imagery, because it's important when we are studying the book of Psalms. The imagery of a lion, okay? A lion shedding or tearing his soul apart, rending it into pieces with none to deliver. Take note of the language of the psalmist and what he was actually painting here. It was painted with the dark colors of desperation. Lord, salbarako, deliver me. Why? Because I have pursuers. I have people who are actually pursuing me. What do they do? Take note of this. What are they doing? Hambali David, they are like lions trying to tear my soul apart. Please take note of this, beloved ecclesia. A lion can easily cut and slice and munch through our bodies. Okay? If you see a lion face to face in the wild, that's actually the last time you'll see it. That's also the last time you see anything else. Okay? You will die. Beloved, you and I are lion's food. Okay? You and I are lion's food. But of course, we can say, lion, I'm not delicious. Okay? I'm not delicious. Spare me. No. You will be torn into pieces, limb by limb. Your throat gurgles with blood. Your spleen and your kidneys, okay, will be on the ground, and blood will be spattered over your face. Take note of that, your beautiful face. Kanugon gid sang imo pampaputi nga kojik. Okay, wherein you are still slicing it. Okay, well, for some, kay kamahal dati siya, doon pa na, you're still slicing kojik now, it will be your face, your body that will be sliced. Okay? Pardon the gory language. But please take note that this is in poetic form, and David is actually emphasizing this. But I want you to understand, lions will kill, but take note, This was David. And David was David. Beloved, he was not afraid of lions. You understand that? David was not afraid of lions. Remember, he was not afraid of bears and lions, because as a shepherd boy, he would fight them in the strength of God. But remember how, when you look at this, he is using the lion in the form of a symbolic, in a symbolic language, okay? This is not, or David is not simply talking here of lion, scientific name, Panthera leo, okay? Scientific name, Panthera leo. He's talking of men pursuing him, but are attacking his soul. Scientific name, Chismoso Tito, okay? They are those people who are actually against him. Please read it again. David is not pertaining to a physical lion. He is pertaining that what these people are doing to him are like something that will shred himself into pieces if God will not save him. Okay? Please take note of that language. David knew the dangers of fighting the lion. In this case, it was the king, the Lord's anointed. During that time, it was still Saul. Did you read it from 1 Samuel chapter 24? On 1 Samuel chapter 24, David could have killed Saul. You have read it just a while ago, right? David could have killed Saul because Saul and his men were hiding in the cave, not knowing that deeper still on that cave was David. And the men of David would say, "Shall we kill them?" But David said no, because that is still the Lord's anointed. So now do you see the picture of what we are trying to understand when we are talking of Psalm chapter 2, not only Psalm chapter 7, but Psalm chapter 2, that those who touch the Lord's anointed are touching God himself. Those who go against the king during that time that God has installed for Israel was actually trying to go against the sovereign will of our God. What did David do? David did not attack Saul. He understood that Saul was still God's anointed king during that time, and it was not his job to actually kill God's anointed because God has still a will for Saul. And David actually understood that. And he understood that language. Take note of this. He did not attack Saul, but where did all these fears and pent-up defenses drive David? He was defending himself. It was too hard for David because he can actually kill easily. David can kill Goliath. David can kill any army. In fact, his people, his armies, his men can kill thousands even if they are just 300. Okay, not 300 because that is a different movie. But please take note, his men are so well versed in combat that one man can actually kill thousands. Saul has killed his thousands and David his 10,000s. That is how good David was. That was how good David was. So when you put it that way, what David did was actually to control himself and give all these things to God. But take note that the language here in Psalm chapter 7, David was afraid. Save me, O God, O Lord my God, for in you I take refuge. The very first verse, it begins with a threefold covenantal picture of God. O Lord, my God, in you. Okay? It begins, O Lord, my God, in you. And David himself, pwede lang na hambal, ikaw Lord, but now David in his anxiety, in his firm focus on God, while everything else is doing, he focused on these things. Oh Lord, the word here is Yahweh, which is talking of the covenant God. And when he said, oh Lord, my God, when he is talking of my God, another name is given, Elohim. And Elohim is the sovereign creator of the entire universe. Okay? Elohim, you are my covenant God, but you are sovereign creator as well. In you, the term in Hebrew is the term betcha, okay? And betcha is something that is talking of in you or within the covenant circle. So now David himself, his appeal beforehand goes to this very important picture that I have a covenant God and I will go to my covenant God, and this is what you and I need to do first and foremost. When you hear of people slandering you, Our immediate knee-jerk reaction is to always go to that person and defend yourself. But David gives us a picture, no, go to God first. Go to God first and foremost. To David, this was, O Lord my God, in you. He was placed in a cul-de-sac. He was placed in a dead end, wherein David does not have any place to go, and the lions are before him. And David does what you and I need to do. When we think of the impossible thing, Lord, damo na gid sila may ginambal sa akon. Kag Lord, hindi man natuod. Lord, they are actually accusing me of all these things. And Lord, wala akong kabalo kundiin. Shut up and go to God. Go to God. This was the cry of David. He recognizes that only and only one can save him. Not himself, not his strength, not his armies, not his throne. It was God and God alone. He understood and understands the situation that he can only call upon the covenant God. Why? And this is what you and I should learn, beloved. That every battle we have in life, in connection to the banner we bear, in connection to the name of God which we bear, is a covenantal battle. It does not mean that within the covenant we fight. No, it means, take note of this, that you cannot win any battle if your covenant God will not fight for you. You will never win any battle if your covenant God will not fight for you. Those who slandered David, either it was Cush or Saul, or they are one, David has to wait. David has to endure listening to day after day stories about himself being slandered by the enemy. The next day, lain naman. The next day, amo naman niyo at ganyan. The next day, something else he would hear from the other party. And ano naman may ara ko ginapabati-batian ba? Hindi na siya masaganamin. So the lions, the wolves, the jackals, the vultures are all gaining speed and they are running towards him. And all he can do is bow down his head and say, O Lord, my God, in you do I take refuge. In you do I take refuge. Oh, how I love the translation of ESV. O Lord my God, in you do I take refuge. Because when you go to KJV, King James, or ERV, or Webster, or the older versions, you will see that the language there is, in thee do I put my trust. Although that is true. The word, the Hebrew word is kosa, okay, koso. And then it is actually spelled like chasa, but it is read koso. And then the language there that is used in Hebrew is a picture of, yes, it is trusting. But take note that the prayer here of David is trying to paint a picture. The picture here of kosa is a little bird flapping its wings, and it is raining. And the little bird will not stop until that little bird will find a tree or a roof. And then the tree and the roof, and then the little bird would actually stop there and wait until the rain would actually cease. In you do I take refuge. That is the picture. And David himself, when the lions were attacking him, when those people are attacking him, he was flapping his little wings, driven forward to the God who is his covenant God. Beloved, is this how you handle slander? O Lord my God, in you do I take refuge. Is this how you handle slander? When you hear people malign your name, when you hear people backbiting you behind the shadows, when you hear so many people trying to be manipulative and make up believable stories and being so loud, in fact, they are very loud, okay, accusing you falsely. And what do? They have emotional tactics. They have sympathy gathering. They gather sympathy from many people. And then these people use and misuse and abuse your name, and then ripping your soul into pieces as if you are nothing but cat food. Cat food ka lang, or lion's food. Like a lion, they will tear my soul apart, humble David. They are too loud, and you begin to wonder like David, "Oh Lord," and you begin to speak and sing to David, to the Lord our God, just like David, "Oh Lord my God, do I take refuge? In you do I take refuge." Is this how we handle slander? Maybe we need to know who our covenant God is. Maybe it's time to stop trying to defend ourselves and move straight to God, because God is a better defender. What were the allegations and accusations to David? Let's move to the second point. What were the accusations to David? And going to the second point, no? To the point here is that moving backward, David was looking back. And when he was looking back, the second movement that we have is that there is a movement backward. Okay, there's a movement backward. Look at verse 3 to verse 5. "O Lord my God, if I have done this, if there is wrong in my hands, if I have repaid my friend with evil or plundered my enemy without cause, let my enemy pursue my soul and overtake it, and let him trample my life to the ground and lay my glory in the dust. Selah." Now, David looks backward, okay? He goes backward, he looks backward, and take note of the many ifs, okay? Ifs of David. He heard their accusations, and then he rallies them before God. He looks forward, desperate of God, and then he looks backward. And looking backward, what did he say? Number one, if I have done this. First if I have done this. He was talking of their allegations. Second, if there is wrong in my hands. Okay? David was trying to look back and say, did I do something wrong? Did I do, because he was living in a theocratic nation, the people would attack him, and anything that he would do, yes, David did something wrong. We all know that. But this is the time of Saul. Take note of that. And during the time of Saul, Bathsheba did not happen yet, if this is the case. But even if David looks back and say, if there is wrong in my hands, if I have repaid my friend with evil, this was another accusation to David. Because he was accused, take note of this, that people are actually spreading news that David is treacherously betraying his friends. Okay? And what were their accusations? If you can betray your friends, you can actually betray the whole nation. Okay? He was actually accused of repaying his friends with evil. Last but not least, he was accused, if I plundered my enemy without a cause. The term plunder is a language that is used to make, that is synonymous to the word salvation or redemption. What they are accusing David of is that, are you trying to save our enemies? Are you trying to help our enemies? And this is what David actually rallied before God. He was looking back with all the ifs that David we should do. Hindi nga mag-defend ka lang dason sang kaugalingon mo. Okay? When you are maligned, when you are accused, this is the second movement that we actually need to do. Oftentimes, you'll know a guilty person if kadasig siya dason mag-defend sa kaugalingon niya. You get the point? Without even thinking that maybe, insakto sila. Maybe I did something wrong. Maybe there is something nga ginalantaw ko sa akong kaugalingon, nga sala ang ginahimo ko. Okay, sige, let me see. And in humility, David subjects himself to the law. If I have done these things, then justice should be served. Why? What did David say? Look at verse 5. If I have done what is wrong, verse 5, let the enemy pursue my soul and overtake it, and let him trample my life to the ground and lay my glory to the dust. Selah. David is saying, if justice is real, and I want justice as well, but if I am proven wrong, this is a term from verse 3 to verse 4 and verse 5 that actually tells us that David knows he is innocent. Because he can pray before God and with the integrity of heart say, Lord, what they are saying are not true. And I hold fast to this. I look back to this. There is a cause and effect. This is a justice system. Let's see, if I did this, then they have every right. If I did sin, if I did wrong, if I have done evil in your sight, O God, then they have all the right to destroy me, to demonize me, to actually put me into justice. Take note of the common word in our few Psalms. Ano hambali David? Sa diriging connect niya, at every time right then, to lay my glory in the dust. Beloved, is this your heart? Yes. Just like David, you may be right. Just like David, I may be right. We may be innocent of the things that were falsely accused to us. But when there are false accusations, a true worshiper of God bows down on the ground and in humility considers the justice. Lord, maybe I have done what is wrong in your eyes. Do you remember when Job experienced all those calamities? Even before that, what did Job do? He was a righteous and an upright man, hambal sang Ginoo. But what is he doing always? He was actually repenting of his unknown sins. He was trying to say to God, Lord, if there is something wrong in me, I repent of it. Please show to me what I did wrong. May we have that very response whenever there are false accusations. What David said here is that I am the king, but I am not beyond the law. Just make this right, bow down, check me, and judge me. Ang common ta nga sabat, kung naigo ang pride ta, what do we say? Don't judge me! Okay, don't judge me! Then we quickly deflect the blame. And what do? We point it to others. None. Sila gani. Gambala ka mo sa ako, pero sila to, grabe man to ila sala. Do you understand that? When we do so, we deflect justice. And ano yung hambal niya? Mas tala pa to sila bala sa akon. Honestly, the ones who are guilty are often quick to blame shift. They shift the blame to others. We deflect, we leverage, and we blame shift. David, take note, before God, this is something that you and I need to learn. When David was falsely accused, he faced them head on. And he faced them with the justice system of God. Deflect, leverage, blame shift. No, beloved, that is too low. We do that? No. That's not our defense. We bow down and consider the case first. We check our hearts. If it is true, then Lord, I deserve to be judged. And with this, David can now move to the shifting of the psalm. Because he was bare naked before God, he can move to God and get his own shield. What was his shield? Movement number 3. Movement number 3 is staying put. Okay? Movement number 3 is staying put. There is now a defense here, and we come to verses 6 to 13. Arise, O Lord, in your anger. Lift yourself up against the fury of my enemies. Awake for me. You have appointed a judgment, lest the assembly of the peoples be gathered about you. Over it return on high. The Lord judges the peoples. Judge me, O Lord, according to my righteousness and according to the integrity that is in me. O let the evil of the wicked come to an end, and may you establish the righteous. You who test the minds and hearts, O righteous God. My shield is with God, who saves the upright in heart. God is a righteous judge and a God who feels indignation every day. Verse 12, if a man does not repent, God will whet his sword. He has bent and readied his bow. He has prepared, verse 13, for him his deadly weapons, making his arrows fiery shafts. After moving forward towards God and looking backwards on his own life, did you hear what David's next movement was? He begins to be steady. He begins to stay put. He stands in stability. Again, do note that this is connected to what we previously call as covenantal privilege, okay? David does not have a wrong theology of God. What did David say in verse 6? Arise, lift your head up, awake, you have appointed. It's as if that he was commanding God. Arise, O Lord, lift yourself up. It's as if, Lord, you are sleeping. Awake, be awake. That is not the case. What David was doing here is what we call covenantal privilege. David does not have a wrong theology of God. But he uses the terms, take note of this, he uses the terms simply to rouse God to act based on proper judgment. He was telling, Lord, you are a just God. And my prayer is for you to awake on this and to act appropriately. God is not asleep. He never sleeps nor slumbers. Do you remember that? David, however, is pushing forward 4 imperatives. What were the 4 imperatives in verse 6? Look at verse 6. You can encircle it. This may sound awkward for you to pray this to God, but this is one example of a covenantal privilege. Number 1, arise. Number 2, lift yourself up. Number 3, awake. And number 4, actually the term here is you have appointed for me. This is where the ESV is confusing. But the word here in Hebrew is only one word, and the one word is also an imperative word, which is equal to the word declare. Declare a judgment. So what is David saying here? Okay, what David is saying here is that he is using imperative words before God. Arise, lift yourself up, awake, and declare a judgment. It's someone calling to the judge. Take note of this. These 4 terms are actually 2 terms that are, number 1, they are military language, and number 2, they are judicial or in a legal court. Okay, sa korte bala. So in a military language, the term arise and awake, take note of this. The word arise is kuma in Hebrew, which is reminiscent of Numbers chapter 10, verse 35, when the Ark of the Covenant is about to be set out again on the journey. Moses, the people of Israel, called upon the Lord by his people, arise, O God, because whenever the ark would go, the Lord will arise and battle against the enemy. This is in war language. So when David is telling, arise, O Lord, meaning be ready for battle. And also the term awake, take note of this. The word awake, weura, in Hebrew, it comes from the root word ur, okay, which is reminiscent of a battle cry of war in Judges chapter 15 during Deborah's time, wherein the people were saying, Deborah, awake, wake up, because we are in war. Okay? So the language here is war. Arise and awake. They are war languages. However, this is not just war language, because these languages are compiled together under a court imagery. In the courts of law, wherein the people are sitting and God himself is the judge. What is David trying to say? Arise, O Lord, as the judge. Arise, and what? Arise, and then lift yourself up, meaning lift yourself up, take your gavel with you, awake, make a judgment, and in your waking up, you need to make a judgment and then declare that the gavel has been given, that the gavel has been dropped, that the justice has been dropped. So David here is giving us an imagery of justice. Lord, I call out for justice. Lord, I call out for justice. Look at verse 8. Verse 7, let the assembly of the peoples be gathered about you. Over it return on high. Verse 8, the Lord judges the peoples. So this is in a courtroom language. Judge me, O Lord, according to my righteousness and according to the integrity that is in me. What did David do? Before he speaks to the Lord, but when he speaks to the Lord, the very first thing that he does is what Jesus Christ said: before you throw a stone to a sinner, make sure you are not a sinner yourself. What David here is trying, of course, that is not part of the original pericope of Greek in John chapter 8, but the language that I want us to understand is that when David was about to rain down judgments to them, David had to make sure that the judgment first falls on him. Get the point? This is oftentimes something that you and I will fail to do, because when people are actually maligning us, our very first thing is to defend ourselves. Our very first act is to defend ourselves, is to defend our egos, is to defend our names. But what David is trying to teach us here is that when that thing happens, be under the justice system of God. Ikaw kag ikaw una. Because the truth of the matter is, David himself, ano ba niya? Judge me, O Lord, according to my righteousness, according to the integrity that is in me. Take note that this is not David trying to say that he is perfect. David's appeal is according to the covenant he has with God. We have learned before that the term righteousness is a positional reality. When we say positional reality, that since David believed in God through the promised seed, he was united with that seed, and that seed is the Lord Jesus Christ. Because David believed in the promise of God, just like Abraham, it was credited to him as what? Righteousness. It was credited to him as righteousness. Therefore, the righteousness that David is talking about is the righteousness that comes from Christ alone. However, he is not here just simply talking of righteousness. He is also talking here of his integrity. And according to the integrity that is in me. Righteousness is David's positional reality. Integrity is David's experiential reality. When I say experiential reality, David himself understood that, Lord, yes, I am yours and you are mine, and I am not condemned because I already believe in you. However, even my act itself, Lord God, I know and I know you know that my integrity is still intact. Meaning, his experiential reality is in line with his positional reality.